Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Unshakable Soul Expert Series. I am Kimberly Arana, your host, and we are on day 3 now, our afternoon session where we are continuing to explore growing your confidence. Get ready to go deep here. We have a wonderful guest speaker here today, Mia Saenz. She is a media host and also the founder of Bella Mia. This is a transformational holistic magazine. She is also a love alchemist, and we're going to get into that today. She is someone who works with people to help them experience a deeper sense of connection with love, even if they might be feeling very alone in the world. We can move through that. She's a self-love teacher who teaches the awareness that by working through love, we can experience so much more flow in our lives. So that means more love, more money, abundance, you name it. So let's get into it. Hello, Mia, and thank you so much for being here.
Hello, Kimberly. Thank you. That was a beautiful opening. I love the way you stated it. I know that it's always basically the same, but yours was so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I work at it. I do. So tell us about being a love alchemist, because you speak as well, and we were talking about this a little bit, about how you're an activist for love, and I think that is a powerful stand to take. So share with us a little bit about how that came to be.
Well, it started literally at birth almost, because the moment I was born into this world, I had this purpose, it seemed like, and this is my purpose. But I was an illegitimate child that it destroyed both my parents' marriages. There was a lot of fighting growing up, a lot of dysfunction. But the blessed thing was my grandmother was a metaphysical practitioner. And so I literally learned from the, from being at her feet, from my grandmother. So I'm a 3rd-generation practitioner. My mother was not, my aunts were. It's a beautiful experience to reach out, to help others heal on every level, physical as well. And as you and I were talking, this started even in the playgrounds about protecting kids who were getting the crap beat out of them and being bullied. And I just could not stand for anything that wasn't in love, literally. My life, twisted and turned. It hasn't been perfect. And it's been my experience to learn how to dance in the chaos. For those of you who are spiritual, and the word soul is in here, I also believe in souls. I have one, you all have one, and they're fantastically beautiful. And so we believe that we incarnate into different experiences all over, and our soul is calling for that. So as part of that soul essence, my mission here on earth from the very beginning and in the past when I've been here has been about leadership and about guiding people. So it makes total sense that it's interesting because in my new book that's part of my gift for you guys, it talks about deep pockets. I
want to ask about that.
When we're in life, we fall into these deep pockets, meaning that we feel really empowered and we're in the flow and we're smooth and everything is just going really wonderful. And then all of a sudden, boom, this is what I talk about in the work that I have you guys do when you work with me. We fall backwards. What is that all about? It's like, wow, 1 minute I'm up and the next I'm down. All that means is you literally need to put a time frame on when you're going to jump back out of it. And we give processes in the book on how to get out of the deep pockets. It's just one of those you're driving down a road and you go into a pit and then you're back out. So it's not something permanent. It's not something that's supposed to hold you there forever. You're supposed to move out of it. And this is all a choice. Transformation of any kind is a choice. And so when you look at it that way, you decide, what choice do I want? Do I want to buy red roses or do I want to buy peonies? Do I want to have chocolate cake or do I want to have vanilla cake? Do I want to love this person? Do I want to love this man? You know what I mean? I'm talking about relationships. We have choices in everything we do.
How do we deal with, because I agree with you, absolutely, about having choices. And yet we both know there are times in your life when you can't see them. Right?
Of course.
You feel like, where are they? So where does self-love intersect with that, right? Like how
you hit it on the nose, because as we grow in self-love and we do the mirror work that I have in my book for you, and it's not about talking to yourself, it's literally about identifying, I love you, and you're looking at yourself. we are not loved the way, we're not taught to love ourselves the way that we need to be loved. And literally nobody will love us the way that we can love ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is from a little girl. Well, I'm a grown woman now, but when I was a little girl, there was a lot of physical abuse from my mom. I was molested by my Girl Scout leader's husband for 6 years until I was able to get out of that situation. I was raped in high school and I had a stalker. So you'd think that for me, which most people say from the abuse from my mom and all that, that psychologists say, oh, you kids shouldn't even be around today. We're all highly successful, and it's a beautiful thing. Part of that is probably my Grammy's, metaphysical upbringing for us. The thing is that, and about choices, we can, and this is why I love the work I do, because, and I talk about holding your hand. I'm not literally going to hold your hand and drag you around, but I'm here to give you comfort. I'm here to assist, just like other people. There are so many people on this planet shifting and changing our lives that I'm not the only one out there for you. Yes, I'd love to work with you. She'd love to work with you. Everybody would love to work with you, because, not because we're doing this just for a living, it's because we have a purpose and a mission. And when you understand your soul's purpose and what it is, it's beautiful. The reason I brought up the chaos is because in our world on planet Earth, it's so dense. We have a lot of chaos here. And when we understand, and this is part of the deep pockets, when we understand that something comes up, we can get out of it. It's a choice. It literally is a choice. How to get out of it. One of the quickest methods, I wrote my tribe just this week. I was inspired because I had fallen into a little tiny deep pocket where I was just feeling really...
I love it. Tiny deep pocket.
I was just
tiny deep pockets.
Where I was sliding down the side there and crawling back up. Yeah. I was feeling really just like everybody, very after this Mercury retrograde and everything, and I had an embezzlement issue in August where somebody wiped out my accounts and left the country, my first husband. Anyways, so the point is I could be down forever for my whole life. And I'm not, because I know who I am, and I know my strengths. Within an hour of that happening, I literally felt this abundant glow growing within me. This was in August. And it was crazy, because I was like, wow, I know I'm not going to go down forever, but I don't know what to think. And then I just started flowing with it and just embracing it and knowing that something greater was coming along. The greatness was all the work that I've done helped me, like on a river, just slide right out of it. And the interesting thing, there's been a development in that, and it's all about love. And this person ended up trying to kill himself recently, and because of all this. And I immediately, the first thing I did when my son showed me an email was I wrote him and I said, we love you, come home. And I called and I said, I'm not going to sue you. I'm not going to chase you. I'm not going to anything. Just come home. Be the man you are, come home. And he came home. Not to me, because, I'm we've been through for like 10 years. So, but the point is that love and forgiveness are hand in hand. There are so many different levels of love. The reason I shared this with you, and it's very personal, that story, the reason I share it with you is to understand I stand up for love. I expect everybody to stand up for love. I'm not going to judge you if you don't. I'm going to see if I can help you. But the point is when we stand up for love, we're in this, and if you're all spiritual here, I'll use this term and then I'll go down to the regular language that everybody can understand, but we're in the flow. It's smooth. So that would look like, for those of you that don't know what the flow is like, that's where it's a continual smoothness in your life, or you can recreate it and bring it forward so that you can manifest things, which means that you can bring in what is already divinely yours. When we're put on this planet, we come with a care package, literally. It's just claiming and understanding that it's already ours. And in love, another beautiful blessing about the work of love is it raises our vibration. So those of you who don't understand that, it means it raises us up to where you see those people who just shine and glow. That's an elevated vibration. You look at them and you say, wow, do I know you? Or I want to know you? Or what's that about you? So it's an elevated vibration. The word love and God are synonymous. They both vibrate at the same level. So when you understand that every choice you have brings you back to love and how magnificent love is, it's really a very beautiful thing. Relationships become more sparkly. And remember, all relationships are things that we work through. Those of people who tell you, oh, I've got such a glorious relationship, we're dating all the time and making love on the beach in Mexico and Africa and here and there and doing this and that. They have, lies coming out of their little mouth, because I can tell you, I understand love. I've been in great loving relationships. I've been in love. I can tell you and I'm so proud of this. It's so funny. I've been in love 5 times in my life. And 3 of them came after I divorced my husband of my whole life. So, and I'm married to a beautiful man that I've been with for 5 years. We've been married for 3. So, but it takes work. There are moments when I'm like, okay, this energy is changing. So it's all about recommitting to who you are and what you want. Now, we went over the whole gamut there, so I'm going to be quiet.
No, this is good. No, there's a lot that, there's a few things that I want to circle back to, because one of the things that I really want to highlight for a moment is, and we all do this, by the way, so this isn't about passing judgment or anything. I do it, and I work with people on all kinds of transformation, but we're always looking for the easy, and as you're pointing out, it takes work. It takes work to develop that flow, that smoothness that you're talking about. I relate that to the way I've always experienced it since a child, was this calm, deep river.
Yeah.
That's that flow. And even when life is completely blowing up around me, this is why I call what I do Unshakable Soul, because I can tap into that. And it doesn't mean that it makes everything perfect, but it helps you reorient and come back to, what are the choices I want to make in this moment, which is what you're speaking to. And I love that, because it can sound, I know that this can sound like unicorns and rainbows to say, well, choose love. But what we're talking about here is on a very deep level. It is. Because it's having gone through the fire and being very clear on the choices that you're going to make now. And so in every moment when we're struggling, like when I was asking, what do we do in those moments when we're struggling, to stop and say, how can I choose love in this moment?
It's all, my favorite phrase that you just brought up is practice, repeat, practice, repeat, practice, repeat. It used to be practice,
yes.
practice.
I love that.
I think I'm going to have shirts made up and sold on my site. Practice, repeat, practice, repeat, practice, repeat. Because
so good.
It really is about practicing. So when I started out, when you asked me about that, and I said, well, I was recently in a little tiny bit of a deep pocket. What I did was, and this is what I wrote. Everybody who's watching this, if you're in my tribe, you might remember this. How to get unstuck. Feeling stuck, how to get unstuck. Yeah. And so literally it's about, for me, I teach immediately going into a guided meditation, because we are in a place where we cannot think clearly when we're down in that deep pocket. Yeah. We are depressed, we're stressed. And for somebody who meditates all the time, I do mindset and focus all day long, all night long, till the cows come home. I still struggle too. I mean, most people say, wow, there's something unique about you in your life. Tell me your secret. And it's meditation, mindset, and focus. Which manifests everything.
I agree.
So literally you get into, I sent out my grounding meditation, which is on my Spirit Life CD. I listened to my own meditation when I was doing a walk the other day. And I was like, wow, I can start to feel the tingles, that I'm coming back into my body, that I'm coming back into the present moment. And I thought, okay, I need to practice and repeat again, practice and repeat again. And there have been times, ladies and gents out there have been times when, not very often, but when I've had to, and I've said this in that email, where I've had to listen to something to bring me back when I'm so low for 3 hours. Literally, I played it on repeat, until I get a breakthrough.
This is such a good point,
recognition. We have to do it. Okay, so you would take sometimes, some of you've got a headache, you'll run and you'll go take medicine, right? Why don't you do the same for your inner being, for your inner soul presence, to bring you back to your soul essence? So instead of taking that pill or running to the doctors or the hospital, what you're doing is you're standing in love. You're standing for the love of yourself. and you're literally going to do what it takes to get better. And most of the time, it's generally getting out of that funk, whether it's deep depression, whether it's bipolar. I used to be bipolar. I haven't been on meds in 10 years because I live this strict life. But it's a life I love. I mean, when I get side jointed, you know, it's like, I got to pull myself back in. So it's practice and repeat. And you asked before about self-love. Where does self-love fall in this? We cannot transform who we are unless we understand. And self-love for me is conscious self-love. I teach conscious self-love. The stuff I teach is not kindergarten stuff. It's absolutely university style level. It's incredibly deep. So we're putting the conscious awareness of each and everything that we're doing for ourselves. Why? Because we're amazing. We are worth it. Do you know that there was one time where I could not hear, and I'm still not the best receiver of compliments and stuff. You know, my mastermind sisters were all this amazing spiritual group around the globe. And when we meet twice a month, sometimes they'll give me a compliment. They're like, Mia. And yes, I do this work because I had to. I did this work. I started in this path of love because I needed love. My twin sister died at birth.
Oh my gosh.
My parents fought all the time. There was so much discord. I needed love. I used to wake up every single night to stop their fighting, to put them back together. I did be in bed at 6 at night and get up at 6 in the morning. And in the nighttime, when this little girl should be sleeping, I was corralling parents to stop fighting, bringing them back to bed together, going back to bed and praying. So I can't even talk, and praying that they would not start fighting again. This was my life until my father died right before my 14th birthday. So, you know, you say, oh, I've had a horrible life. This and this has happened. So have I. I've gotten out. I've wanted to. And this is where we all can. This is where the change can be. So the self-love practices on a conscious level is literally, I can say and feel and understand that love for myself. I used to think, wow, falling in love with yourself, those are some pretty big words. But when you work there and you practice it, because really quickly, you know that every ballerina, basketball player, tennis player, musician, they've practiced their whole life for their skill. And that's why they're so magnificent. So if you want the same type of magnificence for who you are, it does take that practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So understanding your magnificence is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Very important, because who will love us and say that we're magnificent but us? Yes, you might get it once in a while from our mate or something. Oh, you're so great, you're so beautiful, you're so awesome. But really, until you can accept it yourself and saying, and I do this little thing that I'll share right now, it's a tip. When you get up in the morning to start your day, before you even do your mirror work, because I recommend the mirror work in the morning while you're clear and you don't have that chaos of the day upon you.
And again, you guys, you're going to get a lovely free gift from her that's going to go into some of that too. So
when you make your coffee or your tea or your hot lemon water in the morning, understand that you're making this because you are worth it and you're amazing. If you start to say these words, I'm making this tea because it feels good for me. I deserve this. I'm amazing. You're going to see a huge shift. My clients, when we go through the mirror work and we go through the inner child work and we, work on our mindset and focus all the time, and I throw this element in, is when they start to walk around their house and say, holy goodness, I love myself. Because we're breaking down those walls of the beliefs that were layered upon us, that we have to be quiet, go sit in the corner, quickly eat your food, brush your hair, you look ugly, you're putting on some weight, you look fat, you're too skinny, all this garbage. I call our psyche the Trinity. It's the body, mind, and spirit, and it absorbs everything. We absorb hearing, our body absorbs a vibration of anger or love around us. So when you understand that, sometimes track yourself, like say 3 hours after you're awake, look at how many times you told yourself off that day. How many times you already stood in front of the closet saying, oh, I'm so fat, I'm so skinny, I'm ugly, these clothes look horrible. This is information that we have to stop. I don't do any of that stuff. It took a long time, but it's
and that's the thing, right?
Yes.
Practice and repeat, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It takes effort.
There are clients that do my group courses as opposed to my one-on-one coaching. And they'll say, oh, so when will I start to love myself? How fast will I get through this? And I tell them, it's not about a race. It's not being a racehorse. It's about the journey of understanding, because this will be the most magnificent journey you will ever be on in your whole life. You can go to India to see the Taj Mahal. You can go see all the 7 wonders around the world. And you will gain amazing insight. It'll be a great experience. But the greatest journey you'll ever be on is this one right now, discovering who you are. Absolutely. And growing in this lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, I've traveled and I've done this journey, and this is the greatest experience I've ever had.
And that's something I want to touch on, because again, I know for myself included, I really relate. There's a lot of us out there who will hear the conversation we're having, right? And they'll be like, yeah, well, I've been through this and I've had this happen to me, and honest, horrible things happening. And what I love about what you're speaking to is you're a testament to the truth is that people don't always realize. We think all these bad things happen and that means we're not lovable. And yet what you're speaking to in many ways, what you know, just a little bit ago you were speaking to, is a lot of times that's actually a sign that you are here for a great purpose with love. Mm-hmm. And that is partly why you are having that struggle, because it's helping you to call on that, you know, to bring that forth. How do we explore, or rather, how do you explore the inner child aspect that comes into play here, right? Because so many of us really, where a lot of our lack of self-love starts is in our childhood.
Well, if you're watching this, you can write me at Mia Saenz, and I'll send you my inner child meditation process that I work with my clients on. Mm-hmm. I offer that to people who follow my work. You know, it's also we did the CD about 2 years ago, and it's been downloaded like 6,000 times as a free gift, which, you know, Kimberly, is a lot.
Yeah.
And so now we're making it for sale on Amazon, because I have a new great gift for you. But the inner child is that little us that was never heard, seen, and is very timid and doesn't want to come out. It keeps us dysfunctional until we actually embrace her, love her or him, and move forward. So in this inner child meditation process, I take you into this place that's just yours, and it's always just yours. You can pull off on the side of the road if you're having a difficult time and go back into your sacred space, mm-hmm. and work on whatever's bothering you. So literally, you don't leave stage 3 and 4 until that little inner child of yours, until she or he runs and meets you in this meditative process. Normally, your inner child will be very much like, you know, like you were when you were a child, very quiet, untrusting. And so as you get to know the inner child and build this relationship and love the hell out of it, she comes to you very excited to see you. You don't move on until she does that 3 or 4 times, because there's issues in our timeline that we need to heal. Yeah. And I tell you, you've got issues in your timeline, write them out and make sure that you bring them in during that stage. So we do it from 3 to 17, and we do the odd years. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so forth. Mm-hmm. And so you literally are doing 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6. And it's really important. For me, I was talking about dysfunction. There was a family kidnapping, and I was kidnapped when I was a child. And so I remember when I was doing this work myself years ago, and a lot of this stuff was just through prayer and calling in and saying, Father, please help heal me. And I find out that some of this work other people are doing in different ways, which is really cool. But it's about getting those issues that we once had. We're changing the energy of the story. We're not changing the story. We're changing the energy around it so that we can grow. So when I was kidnapped, it was a very scary thing. It was family stuff, but it was a very scary thing, not to be, you know, with my primary caregiver, which is my mother. My father took me, and, you know, I hid out. I hid out someplace with family members for 3 or 4 days. And it was very scary, although I loved my daddy to pieces, my favorite human being on this planet, probably my kids are now, but you get my point.
Yeah.
And so I had to work through that. I had to work through the child molestation. I had to work through all that. And so literally having a timeline is really important, because when you get through these stages and you meet your inner child and you go on and it's like, she's so happy to see you and you're so happy to see her, that, and there's stuff that I'm not sharing on here that you go through, processes that you go in this talk. It's not just about, hi, how you doing? It's literally about the love, embrace, healing. So what this does is it literally changes our operating system. We have two operating systems: the adult we are today and our healed inner child, or our reprogrammed inner child. That's a horrible word, but it's really true. It's breaking the patterns. It's breaking the lies, because that little you was always loved. Maybe not the way that it felt comfortable for us. And we have to realize that from birth, we experience our first abandonment issues. Birth is the hardest thing on the physical body, and it brings amnesia. It brings amnesia, and we forget all of our soulful essence. And so in this lifetime, we're remembering them and bringing them back. In another experience about birth, remember, your parents, our parents, we don't speak the same language. So we're not being fed, we're not being changed, we're not being held when we want to. And so that is the beginning of our abandonment. So when we understand that it's as simple as that, everything along the way moves smoothly, because we're like, I get it now. I get it. It's not so-and-so who left me 10 years ago or 7 years ago. It started when I was born. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't her fault, because really taking self-responsibility for our path and what has happened to us is a huge game changer. When I did that, it changed my existence. It totally broke open, my existence. So it's amazing. There's a lot of beautiful, deep healing work here in the stand of love.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, this speaks to the willingness, right? The willingness to explore how we can love ourselves.
It's interesting you said that, isn't it? It's interesting you said that, because do you know how many, but everyone watching this, there are so many people out there who are afraid to move forward because of hurt. If you stay where you are, all you're going to know is hurt. When you move with a facilitator who is loving and wants to assist you moving forward, what you're going to experience is some pain, of course, because you're dealing with your stuff, but the most elated experience afterwards that you have ever known in your whole life. That's why I always say, bring on this work for me to do. Pop open another can.
I agree. I know.
We get addicted to it as we keep going, because we realize, wow, we're even more powerful than we were told when we were born.
Absolutely. And it's all of that. And I love that, the practice and repeat, because that is, it's so simple and so concise and so true, right? Of finding whatever that practice is for self-love in this context is what I would say. And then continuing that practice and repeat of what that is. Because, so many people think, well, okay, so I did the meditation, but, and they don't realize it's about cultivating it. Self-love, right, is a relationship.
It is.
You speak about, I love this. You say love isn't just for making the world go round, it's for changing the very nature and character of the world itself. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because this, to me, this bridges with when you talk about how we need to master our thinking. I feel like there's so much there about realizing truly the grand scope of what love is.
Well, for most humans, we just are. We don't even know what we are until we develop and start to work towards something. We just exist. So when you, and in that existing, remember back to maybe when you were in high school or something, and you didn't really know, you thought you knew everything, but you didn't. But, Bobby Joe worked at the gas station, and, Peter worked at Walmart, and, Sally Sue worked at, the Waffle House, something like that. That was their life. That's all they knew. That's all they wanted. But yet things were tough, and so they would bitch all the time. It's about getting out. It's about stepping up. it's about change. So literally when we work on ourselves, we realize, if you own the Waffle House, fabulous, but you may not want to be a waitress at the Waffle House on your feet all the time, for the rest of your life. You may want to work with panthers in the zoo. You may want to travel the Himalayas. You may want to go deep diving, in the coral reef somewhere that's magnificent off of Cuba or someplace. But you won't even think about that until you take the journey into love. Because what this does is it broadens and it opens our expansion. And we see things so much greater. We're more aware. It's conscious awareness. If I'm working at those places that I said, and I'm not consciously aware of other things that I want to do, how am I going to know the greatness that's out there, the beauty that's out there? Yeah. So it's really all about, I'm losing my thought, and it keeps like coming in and out like a thread. I mean, I'm not losing what I'm talking about, but there's something I wanted to.
How do we master that, right? How do we master that thinking? Because I see what you're saying. We get stuck in these negative feedback loops.
Well,
in our limited view, right?
Okay, so I remember what it was. I'm like, I got to tell about consciousness, one of those thoughts as I was talking. Okay, so this is how I explain consciousness. This is really a great example, and so I want to share with you guys. Consciousness is like a latex balloon that's flat from the party store. You see, you go into a party store, they've got like a gazillion colors of balloons in bags or in jars, and they're all flat. So you take one and you have them blow it up really big, and you take it home and you're like, here, baby, here's a balloon for you. I'm so excited. And then all of a sudden that little child undoes it, and whoo, all the helium goes out. Mm-hmm. Well, you're looking at the balloon, and it's like consciousness. That helium is consciousness for this example, because that balloon will never be flat again the way it was when you first picked it up. It has ripples. It has human stretch marks even practically. There is expansion there. So it will never be flat again. So that's the point of this, is consciousness is awareness and awakening. As we move through things, our consciousness expands. We don't even understand what we're going to be one day. When I took this life and changed my life 9 years ago, I didn't know all the amazing things I could dream and create. I didn't. But what I did dream and create got me out of that life I was in and into this life now. And that's in the Dream, Believe, Create process in the book. And I keep working it all the time. I want something greater. People know me who know me know that I'm a visionary and I'm a creator. And that's what I absolutely say. I'm a creator because I bring things to life. I didn't know that I could create a magazine until I heard a voice within me that said, you need to do this for people. You need to bring forth a woman's magazine that supports them. I didn't know. I did the research. I found it. Divine love brought in all the information and all the people. I mean, literally, I came up with the idea in December 2014. We had our first meeting when I announced it, January 2nd. We had our first meeting a few days later. Over 100 people had applied to be writers for Bella Mia. And 65 came on the call. Some of them flaked. That's just the numbers ratio. And I ended up with a team of 53 people, writers and editors and graphic artists. So a dream can be realized and created that we never even realized that we wanted. I see things of myself. I used to admire in Mary Poppins, Mrs. Banks. I loved her socialite attitude and giving to people, and her husband was a banker. Well, as I was growing up, I realized I wanted something more than just being a socialite. So guess what? I became a banker. I've been many things in my life. So I was in banking, in lending. And it's really brilliant, these steps that we take. We don't know what we don't know until we know it. You've heard that before. So it's about expanding consciousness. And that's how we can create our life. So if you have that deep burning within you, I've had many friends that I've watched grow over the last 10 years that I've met along the way. And I knew something was special about them. And they'd say, Mia, what is my purpose? What is this thing that I feel in calling me? And I'd say, well, I'd give them my ideas of what I could, read off of their soul or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'd say, it's up to you to discover. These women that I've loved and supported are huge healers today because they knew that they had a purpose. So they just kept holding that dream, that love, and praying and meditating about what they were to do. What is their soul purpose?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you and I both know that we can really create things. So literally coming up with an idea, you can create anything. Don't ever be afraid to recreate who you are, your income, your life, where you want to go, your love. It's all about you. And that's why self-love in the conscious level is so important, because there's thousands of ways to nurture ourselves in self-love. But we're not going to get the ZAM, the quantum leap feeling, the steroids, until we put the conscious awareness into it. Mm-hmm. When we do that, that is what's shifting us. And, you know, a lot of people in self-love are experiencing conscious self-love. They don't realize it because they're not always putting that conscious intention of moving forward. You know, all of a sudden they'll have a big leap and they're like, whoa, I love this work. I love myself. And then they go back to not being consciously aware of what they're doing. And then they're like, wow, last year or 2 or 5 years ago, I remember when I was really rolling along smooth. That's where this practice and repeat comes in.
Right.
What do you want your life to look like? Who do you want to be? And one more thing, when is enough enough?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very, very good question, right? To ask ourselves, when is enough enough? Because so many times we have to get pushed really hard against enough. Right. And the thing is, we don't have to. That's the thing. We really don't have to. So one more thing I want to ask before we wrap today. What is one misconception, or what I call like the shadow side, that you see in spiritual self-help circles today? You know, a lot of people talk about spiritual bypassing. But what's one misconception that you see? And I can see so much in the context of what we're talking about here, because those misconceptions cause us to sabotage our self-love, right? What is one that you see today that you'd love to see people realize, hey, this is not the truth, you know?
Well, there's a lot. And in the beginning of the book, or on my website somewhere, it talks about you've done all the self-growth stuff. You've done it all, and you still feel like you're where you're at. It's really about, again, the practice and repeat. What do you dream? So I teach about, and this is what I want to share, how I changed my life was a simple dream, believe, create. And I reproduce it all the time. So I imagine what, you know, the greatest thing that I dream big. So I dream the biggest dream that I can dream. Mm-hmm. And I move my life from there. So if you stay out of the playfulness, it's almost like it is a relationship with yourself, but it's almost like a romance with yourself, because in a romance, you're in that honeymoon stage and you can have everything. So when you keep yourself in an elevated space by doing the work, it's about literally doing the work. Nobody will tell you, you have to do the work all the time. We think we can swallow this pill called self-growth, you know, self-discovery. It's not a pill, guys.
Yeah.
It's actual practice. So just the same way that you may be a Catholic, or you may be a Baptist, or you may be a fundamentalist, or Jewish, whatever you are, or you might be spiritual, or all of those wrapped in spirituality. Mm-hmm. Whatever you are, it's a choice. So you're choosing to go to church every day to follow somebody, your preacher, your minister, what they're saying. You can do this for yourself. You can choose also, just like you choose to wake up at 6 in the morning, or 5 or 7 or 8, it's a choice. What am I going to eat tonight? It's simple. I would like a hamburger. Okay. How do I want to feel? I want to feel good. It's simple. It's a choice. So literally, it's about working it and practicing it and understanding. First of all, understanding there is help out there from all sorts of stuff. All you have to do is go into your quiet space. Remember, prayer is talking to God, not begging or pleading, talking outward. Meditation is seeking inward. So when we do both, we're talking to the divine, our creator, source, God, higher self. Mm-hmm. When we're talking, we're literally talking. We're not begging, if you do this, please, I'll do this or that. It doesn't work, because it's not a communication. We're not asking questions.
And it's a negotiation.
Yeah. And we're intelligent beings. We're intelligent beings far more than we realize. So it's literally about staying on track. And it's not a one-time quick fix. It never will be. It's a practice. It's like a religion, because it's literally, if you understand that you're like, okay, I go to church on Monday and I go to church on Sunday and I go to church on Wednesday, but those other days I don't. This is all a practice. What do you want? Smoothness? Then practice your smoothness. You want chaos? Then don't do anything or practice your chaos. What you're practicing is what you're bringing in. Many of you have heard about, I call it the law of vibration, not the law of attraction. The law of vibration is literally higher. It's about manifesting. You stay in an elevated state and you're able to recognize and bring things into you what you need. So it's about that. It's a choice. Do I choose to be a manifester? Yes. Do I choose to stand up for love? Yes. Do I choose to be who I am? For me, I most certainly have. For you guys out there, if you're choosing to be sick or you're, don't get mad at me. I love you. Seriously. I've been there. Literally before this, and we didn't talk about this, but before my awakening, this awakening, we have many stages in our life. Yeah. 9 years ago, I was in a wheelchair. I was dying. I literally was given my death sentence by the doctors. You have 2 years left to live. Get your affairs in order. It can be a very emotional conversation here. And so within a month, I had my awakening and I shifted from literally having the frontal lobe of my brain burnt out after 9/11 from the PTSD that I had. I flipped out. And I'm somebody who'd been metaphysical, practiced everything all the time. Then I had an accident where I was in a wheelchair. And so this went on for 6 years until I was dying. And I took a leap of faith when I had this awakening where literally Dream, Believe, Create came in on my birthday. And the voice said, God said, you've been sad your whole life, Mia. What would it be like to be happy? And I thought, I'm going to take this chance and dream this. I can see myself sabotage across the room, sitting on a chair saying, I think we're going to spin the wheel of Russian roulette again. Well, actually, that's a gun. But, of the roulette wheel, we're going to spin it again and see how much further out we can go before you're dragged back into life. And I said, no, I want to play now. And so that was my step of stopping my inner critic, stopping my self-sabotage. I've been practicing self-love for 28 years, since I was in my early 20s. So it really is a choice. It's a commitment to self, and it's about falling in love with yourself. So when I tell you, I understand, I friggin' understand. I was bipolar from 9/11. It popped it out. I was in a wheelchair. I walked in the house with a cane. I slept 20 hours a day. I was only awake 2 hours, 2 separate times during that day. I couldn't take care of my kids. I had help in the house. I couldn't bathe myself. I didn't look in the mirror for 10 years. So that was even before, the 6 with the, so the point is I know where you are and I got out. So for me to say to you, you can too. I'm telling you, you can. I've been there.
And I think that's really the difference too for a lot of people, to have mentors and activists who are willing to stand there and say, I've walked this road. Mm-hmm. I do understand. I have been through this, and here's what I was able to do. Here's what I was able to work through.
Exactly.
Transform. That is so, so powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories.
Thank you.
Right? And your experiences and what it is that you have been able to transform, really, and bring to the table so that others here can learn from that and realize really how powerful and simple that choice can be. Truly.
It really is. When my frontal lobe was burnt out, they said, it's like a motherboard on a computer. It'll never work again. I couldn't calculate. I couldn't hold conversations well. So you can see I'm an intelligent woman today.
Yeah. And I hate it when they do that, by the way. It's like it robs you of all possibility. I never like it when there's those death sentences. Yeah. And I understand why they feel the need to do it, but I think it's such a dangerous practice because we really are amazing beings.
We are. Yeah.
Right? With infinite possibility inside of us. So yeah, I
agree with you.
I'm so glad that you are still here, lady.
Thank you. Thank you. And this is my mission.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation today, and please check out her website. You can find her. We'll be sending you links, and she has a wonderful gift as well. We'll be sending all of that to you so that you can explore all that she has to offer, because we only touched on a few little things here, people, seriously. So check out Mia Saenz for sure. And then I want to remind all of you as well that this afternoon is our first live Facebook after party, and that's at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be there. There will be other guest speakers showing up as well, and you can ask us anything that you want to live. We'll be answering your questions, and we can explore all that we have been talking about so far. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that you will have a wonderful day. Thank you again, Mia, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Be well.
Good to be with all of you.